We are happy to have Jason Charters and Liam Romalis here. They stand there. Not now, not yet, wait. Both of them are head and heart of the production company Riddle Films from Canada, and they joined the International Music and Media Center in 2013, very fresh members. Also with us here afterwards, the IMZ Vice President Henk van der Meulen and IMZ Board member Hazel Wright. We saw her already. Nice to have you back. Both of them long-standing members, and altogether they will give us highlights and a short retrospect of the history of Avant Première and the IMZ. Thank you very much for that in advance. I need that. Okay, now it's your turn, you guys.
Hello, everyone. My name is Liam Romalis. Together with Jason Charters, we are the head and the heart of Riddle Films.
From now on, that's it.
Last year was our first year at IMZ Avant Première, and we on the very last night over drinks, we suggested that they have a panel called Advice for First Timers, and I think Linda said, "Okay, you guys do it." So here we are. We're from Canada. And we have been producing arts, documentaries, and performance films for the past 13 years. And as some of you might know, the arts in North America and in Canada are under siege. It's becoming harder and harder to produce arts programming. And for us, looking for an international market was really about expanding our network and looking for other funding opportunities around the world. So it led us, we actually went to a number of markets, and we were finally, all directions pointed to IMZ to become members and to come to Avant Première. So again, last year was our first year, and we found that when we screened our reel, it really was a remarkable thing, because all of a sudden, you have a huge number of people who know you instantly. So, Jason, we've been thinking about different ways to approach this event if you're a first-timer, and we have some ideas.
Whew. I can't help it. You stand up here with the spotlight and you feel like you're at the comedy club. Like I feel like I'm supposed to entertain everybody.
Okay, what kind of bees make milk?
You can't do that joke.
Boobies.
All right. Liam actually learned that from his daughter when she was how
8
old?
years old.
Yeah.
No, she was 6 years old at the time.
When she first told him that joke. And our kids go to camp, and then my 4-year-old comes back from camp, and they're on the same bus, and he tells me that joke a week later. So we did. Liam and I tried to think of a few practical things for people who are first timers and coming to this. So we came up with a list. We didn't want to overwhelm people, so we have 5 things. That's all you have to remember. 5 things. The first of which Liam already sort of mentioned. The first thing is, while you're here, to approach people. Obviously, that's why everybody's here. I know I feel, and I felt last year before we presented and before I knew anybody, it's amazing how I'm 42 years old and I felt like I was about 16 and I was trying to ask people out on dates with me. So try not to be afraid. One thing that you can do is, we're all here watching. The screenings are brilliant because we all get to see each other's work and we all have something to talk about. So specifically, the task is when you, after every session, pick one thing that you've seen, one company, and go talk to them. Just find something that you liked about something that somebody did and just go talk to them about it. You don't have to talk about your own work, and if you're not screening, you don't have to worry about it. We can all find something that we like or that strikes us. You can ask how they did it, or just tell them you liked it in a conversation.
If you didn't like it, that would make for a very interesting conversation.
Keep that to yourself. The second thing is, one thing that we found is to expect the unexpected. We were very focused last year on, we had a slate of things that we were pitching and we wanted to make sales and we're at a market and there's people. But actually the best part of the conference was the unexpected, were the conversations that we weren't expecting. We had brand new ideas that came up while we were here. We met a ton of really interesting people, and we just talked about, everybody loves arts. Everybody here loves music, dance, performance, theater, poetry, opera, and it's great to be surrounded by people that also love what you love. So expect the unexpected. That's number 2. Number 3, use the virtual market. So before you meet people, you can find out who they are, you can find their faces for most people, and follow up. Use it to follow up. It's such an outstanding resource to have contact information for people. And just the mere fact that you are here cuts through a lot of the, it's like the version of a firewall. You know, people are obviously, you're writing to people at companies like the BBC or Arte or something. And if you mention the fact that you were here, that you know them from here, it cuts right through, which is fantastic.
And I think every veteran who is here sees it as his or her responsibility to really take the time and talk about what you're doing, what they're doing, and try and find common ground. We found that every single person was remarkably approachable.
Except for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Person.
We won't talk about that.
Number 4. So that's 3. Approach people is 1. Expect the unexpected is 2. Use the virtual market is 3. Number 4, if you're still remembering, come see Liam and I, and Hank and Hazel. And then you'll know somebody.
Really go see Hank.
If you haven't met anybody yet, and I know my first day, it was really kind of scary. So if you haven't met anybody, come see us, and then you'll know somebody, and then we'll try and introduce you to more people. And specifically, I'm going to extend an invitation, because there's a lot going on tonight still. At the end of the night, after the screening, which I think ends around 8:30 or so, come to the bar here at the Scandic, and I'll be there, and I'll convince Liam to be there, and have a drink with us, and we can talk, and that'll be the start. So after everything tonight, there, before going to dinner, because I'm hungry, meet us for a drink. And the last thing is to become a member, because there's no greater way to get to people than to show your work. That's why everybody's here. So if you're not showing this year, you'll watch stuff, and I encourage you to become a member and come back and screen some of your work, because we want to see it. I think that's it.
Great. And without further ado, Hank
Hazel.
and Hazel, who are going to talk a little bit about years gone by and right up to the present. Hazel, you were saying you've been a member since 1983?
Yeah, I was working in BBC production, actually, and I moved over to the commercial arm, to BBC Enterprises it was then. It's now called BBC Worldwide. And the person who was the head of department, Humphrey Burton, said, "Oh, you've got to come to Pre-Italia. I'm going to introduce you to everybody you need to meet." And he did. And I went to the Pre-Italia, and all the people that were buying programs, because my job in BBC Enterprises was to look after music and arts programs. And so he introduced me to me. And for sure, then it came to MEDEM, which was in following January. And I went there and I met those people. I'd met them already. So we were friends. You know, there was no question we were already friends. And it's all to do with people. We are in a people business. There's no question. If you know people and you've met them face to face, it jolly well helps when you see them again. And then you get their email and you've got something to talk about. And in the early days, you know, we at the IMZ, we used to have, everything was screened on VHS. You know, it was really pretty rough. Now it's much, much more professional. It looks really good, and everybody does the show reels properly to make them look good. You know, that's important, to have the publicity material available, to have all of the information. If you're selling things, you've got to have the documents to go with it. And having a really slick show reel helps. And, you know, we see a variety of things now that we would never have had a chance of seeing the quality that we get them now. And I think that's really important. But the other thing, of course, you know, having a drink. We used to have a bar in Cannes. It was in the Grand Hotel, and that's where everybody, after they'd gone out to dinner, everybody ended up in the Grand Hotel, because that's where you knew the IMZ people were at MEDEM. And then, you know, we did drink a bit too much, but that's, you know, it was all right. We were in the business. And that's how we knew each other so well, because you say, oh, yeah, we had that drink. And it's all, you know, it's really, it is to do with that kind of camaraderie and knowing each other. And I know that if we don't work together, we're not going to survive, any of us. So we do need to work together, and this is the format. This is how we're going to do it with the IMZ for these programs, with their lives, whatever their lives are, you know, whether they're international or, you know, digital and everything else. It's all very exciting now. There are lots of opportunities. And we're learning also about the technical stuff, how the technical things are changing. We need to know that. We need to share that with each other. So that's what this forum is all about. That's enough. Over to you.
Nothing left to say, really, particularly, my mic. Back then, well, I'd just like to pick up on point number 2, expect the unexpected. First, to have a little memory lane. Yes, the bar in the Grand Hotel. It was pretty straightforward. The whole history of the IMZ was there to get a market for Herbert von Karajan and Leonard Bernstein that were produced commercially and to be shown on public television because there was no commercial television in Europe at the time. And so this was then sort of developed into either you produced a program or you sold a program or you bought a program. And pitching was very much like swapping names of soloists and conductors, nothing too much about television and quality. And the people, the commissioning editors that were all great friends within the IMZ, they were, in a way, just picking up on some things that were offered to them. And somehow there was an audience to watch this. But we know the world of classical music and the world of arts on television is indeed challenged, as you were saying. But we should not stay where it is. It's always been challenged. But we lived in a pocket of decades where these things could be just broadcasted without much protest. But I think we are in a different time now. And the whole camaraderie that Hazel was referring to is actually something of a DNA that we can carry into the 21st century. Because my view is it's not about producing. It's not about selling, and it's not about buying. It is about the music, and it's about content. It's about many, many platforms. If we look what goes into anything that we produce, whether it's a clip on YouTube or a 55-minute documentary or a long format or a DVD, actually it's like a delta of many, many streams when it comes to talent, visual vision, how to put it on the screen, any screen, how to record it, and to tell the story. And that could be many, many, many different things. So the name dropping is no longer good enough. There is that delta that goes into the sea. And then even after that, and I'd like to think of the IMZ as the hub in the middle, the same material, the same content will go to YouTube, go to the web, it'll go to a DVD, and it'll go to a broadcaster. So the whole lineage of dropping names, producing fine stuff, selling it to a broadcaster, and the broadcaster buying it, is a thing of the past. It's an element of what we do still, but it's certainly not the convincing thing to go to from back then to today. Wow. Isn't that perfect time? And so, and I think that when we sit down at the Grand Hotel bar or here afterwards talking to you, we are actually exploring everything. We're not trying to sell our idea. We can always do that. But we're trying to find out what the other has to offer us. We're trying to find out what best way this music can be conveyed to other people. We're really thinking about music, about people, storytelling, media, platforms. And don't come here with 5 things to sell because you'll end up being disappointed. But if you come here to inspire each other and find a new way how to disseminate music in all the media that we have today, then I think the IMZ is going to be a really thriving place. And why wouldn't it be? Thank you.
Thanks.
So this is the last picture. This has to be explained. These are 2 rather badly shaven Norwegians who asking you, they turn out the microphone. This is interactivity. These have been monologues, and we're going to chat in the bar. And this is them pointing the microphone to you. So what do you have to say? And so that would be something. Maybe anybody in the room now has something to say or to ask. That would be still possible if our presenter would allow it.
Yeah, is there time for questions if people have questions?
Yeah.
Yeah? I don't know if anybody has. No? Everybody's
We're
pretty
that
much got
good.
it. They're-
Deafening silence.
After
So
that.
I propose the bar then.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Don't
much.
stand me up.